Being a Bengali, butter chicken was not really part of the staple diet in our home as it was for somebody, Amit basically. But the first time I actually ate butter chicken, I must have been around 16, 17 years old, and my brother-in-law had brought these tubs full of butter chicken from Moti Mahal, and it was yummy. There's no doubt about that. And then one day my mother, we had tandoori chicken the night before, and the next day she made it into butter chicken. And of course she was very smug about it because she had aced it. It was perfect, it was better than perfect, it was the best butter chicken I've ever had. And she refused to tell me how she did it. She just said, oh, I just pureed some tomato and cooked it in it. So ever since then I've been on this quest to try and make a good butter chicken. And of course, being married to Amit, the last 26 years has been all about looking for that perfect butter chicken. So everywhere we go, it didn't matter whether it was Calcutta or Bangalore or Chennai or Nagpur or anywhere in the country we went, Amit was always wanting to order butter chicken. So I figured it's time I made it or tried making it. First few times a disaster, then I hit upon this perfect recipe for it. It's very simple. And the secret to making a good butter chicken is to keep the ingredients to a minimum and not make it very rich or very heavy, even though it is rich and heavy because it uses butter and cream and stuff like that. But if you sort of, keep those ingredients at a lower ebb, then it actually tastes really yummy. So let's make butter chicken. An essential ingredient to get a really good butter chicken is, of course, to have leftover tandoori chicken. We had this for dinner last night, and today we're going to make the rest of it into butter chicken. You can make it with regular chicken, but it doesn't get that smoky flavor that is so essential to butter chicken. And then, of course, there's tomatoes and green chili, and we'll be using a little bit of cashew nut. And this is kasuri methi. Again, you just use a pinch to get that fragrance of the methi. Gives it a lovely, lovely taste. Little bit of garlic. I don't think I'll be using all of this. I'll probably just be using 2 of them. And of course, red chili, salt, sugar, and the butter and the cream. I've got this tomato paste on standby just in case the fresh tomato isn't enough, but butter chicken really tastes best with fresh tomatoes. The first thing we're going to do is pop all this tomato in here and give it a boil so that it purees faster. Then I'm going to be popping a few of these green chilies so that the gravy has a little bit of bite. This is something you can avoid if you don't like spicy food. Then I'm just going to add a handful of cashew nuts in there. Then we put in a little bit of kasuri methi. Again, I'm not going to use too much of it because in case I find it's not enough, then I have the option of adding this later as well. But I don't want to overdo the flavoring. And garlic, okay, I shall use 3. There's no ginger, there's no onions in this, just a little bit of garlic. Don't forget your tandoori chicken has already been marinated in all these spices and roasted, so it's the onions and ginger is already there in the chicken. And we just add a little water, a little salt, again not too much because you can adjust the salt later after you've added the chicken because the chicken is again salty, remember. So I'm going to be cutting up this chicken because I don't really want such big pieces. Tandoori chicken normally comes in large pieces, so it's better if you just cut it up. You can debone it as well if you like, but both Amit and I love the bones, so the bones will stay in. This is some Afghani tandoori chicken, which was also left over, 2 pieces. So I'm adding it into this as well, which is why this is white and these are red. As long as it's got the smoky flavor, right? Okay, everything is in small pieces. If you want authentic tasting butter chicken, use tandoori chicken. Don't use chicken tikka because I think there's a difference in the recipes between the two. The masalas vary or the cooking process varies, something varies. And of course the bones are very important because they really add to the flavor of the gravy. I've taken the tomato out from the pressure cooker and cooled it, and now I'm going to puree it. Safer to do it in parts so that I don't have tomato puree all over my kitchen. That has happened a lot of times. So my tomato puree is ready, and we can now move towards the fire. Butter chicken is normally, of course, cooked mainly in butter, especially white butter if you have it, but I'm going to do an oil and butter combination so that it's not too rich or fattening. So about a tablespoon of oil. Again, this is not an oily dish. You don't need the oil or the butter to sort of float on top. You just need it to sort of cook the tomato to the right degree. So just a tablespoon of oil is enough, and to that we are going to add a tablespoon of butter. That should be a tablespoon. Of course, Mehra will make me add more butter at the end, but that's a separate story. Once the butter and oil starts spluttering, the secret is to add the red chili powder at that time. Just like when you add pepper to hot butter, it gives off that amazing fragrance. Red chili and butter does the same thing, and that is actually there. And now I am going to add all the gravy. Just see how beautiful that looks. Give it a nice stir and let it sort of start bubbling. When it does, put it on slow fire and leave it for around 15-20 minutes or so till the whole gravy has incorporated all the flavors and starts giving you that butter chickeny aroma. I am now going to cover it, simmer, and forget about it. Remember to give it a stir from time to time. So the gravy's been simmering for a bit, and it's kind of thickened as well from what it was when we first started off. I'm just going to dip a finger. I'm going to add the chicken in now. It's perfectly done. Please remember, when you order your butter chicken in the restaurant, tell them to make sure they make it with tandoori chicken. Very often these guys, especially the boneless variety, they just sort of do it with regular chicken, and then it's just not the same taste. And I want all this yummy masala in there as well. So now I am going to let this simmer for another 5 minutes or so. the gravy has to incorporate that tandoori masala and the charcoal bits and stuff. And then we will come back for the finishing. Smelling good. Let's give it a stir. So again, tasting for sweetness. Butter chicken needs to be a little sweet, but it's best not to add the sugar beforehand, because it totally depends on how sweet your tomatoes are. And so once it's kind of done and you know how sweet or sour your tomatoes are, you add just a hint of sugar to give it that slight sweetness. And I'm going to add a little more kasuri methi. And the other thing I'm going to add is green chilies sliced, because they sort of add to the flavor. And this is a must. And if you don't like spicy, then you get those nice long green chilies which are all fragrance and no spice, so you can use those. The salt element is fine. I'm now going to be adding a little cream to this. The cream basically takes away the tartness of the tomato and gives it a nice mellow kind of a taste. And I'm going to add a little more butter. And the butter chicken is done. Yummy. Not as good as my mother's, but good still. See you next week, folks, and enjoy yourselves over the weekend. It's raining out here and the skies are grey, so it's perfect weather for a butter chicken. See you, bye, and subscribe and like and comment.